What if the thing you've been hiding your whole life isn't your weakness, but actually your greatest strength? And that's the lesson that's in K-pop Demon Hunters. On stage, HUNTRs are flawless idols adored by millions. But behind the curtain, they're demon hunters. And at the centre is Rumi, the leader, hiding the darkest secret of all, that she's half demon. For years she's tried to erase it. Erase the marks, erase the shame, and erase herself. Here's the twist. The moment she stopped hiding, her voice became unstoppable. And that's what this video is about. Because Rumi's story is really our story. We've all been taught to hide our flaws, hide our truths, hide our fears. But what if hiding is the very thing that's keeping you stuck, silent, and small? Today we're going to expose the lies that shame tells us, and I'll show you how to start slaying your own demons the way that Rumi did. Most people don't live one life, they live two. There's the version that the world sees that's polished and safe and acceptable, and the version they keep hidden that's messy, insecure, and weighed down by shame. That's exactly the story of K-pop Demon Hunters. On stage, HUNTRs are perfect idols, but in secret, they're demon hunters fighting for survival. So here's the question, which life are you actually living right now? Is it the mask or the real you? And that double life isn't just fantasy, it's everyday reality. Think about it. At work you wear the professional mask, the smile, stay agreeable. Pretend you've got everything handled even when you're falling apart. At home, maybe you're the strong one, never letting anyone see that you're exhausted, scared or in need. And online, you show a highlight reel, surprise. Carefully edited photos that make you look good, but they hide that loneliness behind the screen. And here's a cruel irony, people will praise the mask, they clap for it, they like it, they'll even envy it. But deep down, you know that it's not you. And that gap between who you really are and who you pretend to be, that's where suffering starts to grow. Psychologists call it self-alienation. It's when you start to feel like a stranger in your own life. When you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person that's looking back at you. It eats at you quietly, not with explosions, but with erosion. Piece by piece, the real you gets buried until all that's left is a mask. And that's exactly where Rumi was. Performing flawlessly, projecting perfection, but underneath completely suffocating. Her mask didn't just protect her, it nearly destroyed her voice, her friendships, her purpose. Now the mask isn't failure, it's survival. But survival isn't living. The longer you wear it, the heavier it gets until it crushes the real you completely. And we've seen that through so many people, through society, through celebrities, through everything. So here's the challenge. Grab a piece of paper. On one side, write the mask. List the roles you play to stay safe. On the other side, write the real me. The feelings, wants, or truths that you hide. Then ask yourself, what's one small way I can let the real me show this week? Say no when you mean no. Admit when you're not fine. Speak one unedited opinion. And the truth of things is that Rumi couldn't keep living both lives, and neither can you. The mask might keep you safe, but it will never set you free. Freedom only comes when the world finally meets the real you, and that massive weight is finally lifted. In K-pop Demon Hunters, the monsters don't just fight with claws, they fight with shame. Because shame is actually the perfect demon. It doesn't have to destroy you, it just convinces you that you're already broken, and then you'll do the rest yourself. So let me ask you, what demons of shame are quietly ruining your life right now? Now, Rumi's adoptive mother, Celine, taught her to fear her demon side, to see her heritage as a curse, and she believed it. That's how shame works. It works by allowing so much of society, whether it comes from our peers, from parents, from school, whatever it may be, to tell us all these things are shameful, that we're supposed to hide it, and it forces us to end up feeling embarrassed by it if it ever starts to escape and be shown. So we push it down, push it down, push it down, and never really embracing it, just because we've allowed one side to dictate everything for us. Because that shame is the one that whispers, you're not enough, you don't belong. If they knew the real you, they'd leave. It makes you edit yourself before anyone else even has the chance to reject you. You become your own silencer. Shame is insidious because it feels like truth. But it's not truth, it's distortion. It takes your uniqueness and twists it into liability. And when you live under it long enough, you start policing yourself. You don't chase the dream. You don't speak the truth. You don't risk being seen. Because shame has convinced you it's safer to stay small than to risk being rejected. Shame is not truth. It's a weapon. And the moment you recognize it as such, it starts to lose its grip. Because then you start to remove the power from it. You realize it's just a weapon, and it's up to you to take the bullets out of the chamber. So this week, write down one thing you feel ashamed of, the one thing you've never said out loud, then asked, if I shared this with someone safe, would it ruin me or would it finally free me? Because we're so worried and scared about other people's opinion that we allow it to destroy us, when really we should be free to do that and express it. And when Rumi stopped hiding her demon mark, she didn't lose her place, she found her power. And the same is true for you. Shame thrives in silence, but the second you drag it into light, it can't survive. What if the most powerful weapon you have isn't strength, money, or status? What if it's your voice? In K-pop Demon Hunters, Huntrix fight with music. But here's a twist. The music only works when it's real. So what would happen if you finally spoke your truth instead of silenced it? Rumi's voice faltered when she hid shame, but when she sang honestly, she accepted her whole self. Her song shattered the Demon King's spell. That's not just fantasy, that's how truth works. Your voice is a weapon too, but most people live muted. They silence themselves out of fear of judgment. They edit their words to sound more acceptable. They bite their tongue to keep the peace. I know it because I've done it many times and will probably continue to do it sometimes today. And here's the cost. The more you silence yourself, the less alive you feel, because self-expression isn't optional, it's survival. Silence doesn't protect you, it protects shame. Truth is what destroys it. To take a sidestep is how people have become victims of things for years because the perpetrator caused them to be silent and hide it, making them think that it's their fault and they're shameful for it. But once it's finally out there, that person who's a perpetrator no longer has that power over them. And you've moved away from that aspect into your own internal mind. We do the same thing to ourselves. We allow the shame to have all the power. That's the perpetrator. But as soon as we step out of it and no longer have it controlling us and overseeing everything, we gain our power back. So I want you to say one thing this week that you've been holding back. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't have to go out all guns blazing. It could be telling someone that you love them, admitting you need help, sharing a dream. It doesn't always have to be you're biting your tongue because you don't want to say the wrong thing. It could be something you're just a little bit scared of. The size of it doesn't matter. What matters is breaking that pattern of silence. And when Rumi finally sang her truth, it broke the spell holding everyone captive. And when you use your voice, shaky or strong, you'll find it does the same in your life. Imagine being told your whole life that the thing that makes you different is the very thing that makes you unworthy. That's Rumi's story in K-pop Demon Hunters, told to hide her demon marks, erase her heritage, and perform flawless perfection. But what if the part of you you've been most desperate to erase is actually your greatest strength? We all have parts of ourselves we've been taught to bury. Anger, sensitivity, ambition, creativity, sexuality. Those parts don't disappear when you bury them. They fester in the dark, they twist into shame, and the more you hide them, the more they control you. And when you hide all the parts of yourself that should be free, you become disconnected, you lose your power. It starts to cause all sorts of problems and all sorts of struggles. That's why Rumi's marks were so powerful, not because they were flaws, but because they were truth. The very thing she thought disqualified her was the thing that made her unstoppable. The shadow you're hiding isn't weakness, it's raw, untapped strength. So if you journal this tonight. If I stopped hiding this part of me, how could it actually make me stronger? Maybe your anger is a fire to fight for justice. Maybe your sensitivity is a reason people feel safe around you. Maybe your ambition is the engine to create the life you dream of. When we start to reframe the power behind it instead of making us feel the shame, it changes who we are into a proper self, and we can do so much more with it. And Rumi didn't win by becoming flawless, she won by becoming whole. And that's your path too. Not perfection, not erasure, wholeness. Just a quick pause before we dive deeper. If this is hitting home, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It tells YouTube to push this message to more people who need it, and it also means that you won't miss the next one when it drops. Okay, let's get back into it. There's a moment in K-pop Demon Hunters when Huntrix break apart, and it's a moment where Mira and Zoe start hearing those inner voices. They start telling them things that aren't the truths, all the little fears that start coming to front. That this is your fault that this happened, you're never meant to have this film, you're never meant to belong. All those things that start to play in our minds and come forward when something happens. And it could be something big or something small, but the second that goes into there, all of that shame and all our fears come flooding to the front. And if you're honest, how many times have you mistaken fear for truth in your own life? That scene captures something we've all felt. When trust cracks in a friendship, a relationship, or a job, the fear voices get loud. They don't whisper, they scream. They don't care about you. You're not good enough. It's only a matter of time before this falls apart. You're going to ruin this. You're going to waste this. All of those voices that come flooding through the second something feels a little bit off. And it could be absolutely nothing, but the fear just comes flooding to the front. And the scary part is, when you're already vulnerable, fear doesn't feel like fear. It feels like truth. But here's the difference. Truth feels steady, even when it hurts. Fear feels frantic, absolutely desperate. Fear is not your inner compass, it's your alarm systems. It shouts danger, 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 but danger isn't always real. It's that thing our brain does to prepare for us for the kind of worst case scenario, but it doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. So next time voices start to rise, just pause for a second and ask yourself, is this fear talking or is it truth? Because truth will give you clarity, fear will give you chaos. Mira and Zoe almost lost themselves because they mistook the fear for reality. And you will too, unless you learn to separate fear's voice from truth's voice. Do that and suddenly fear becomes background noise instead of the script that's running your life. Rumi's secret didn't just weigh her down, it fractured HUNTR. Her silence made Mira and Zoe feel betrayed because the real wound wasn't her demon blood, it was her lack of trust. The moment she embraced herself and let them in, the group came back stronger than ever. So here's the question, what connection in your life are waiting you to stop hiding? We all crave connection, but we sabotage it the same way Rumi did, by hiding. Think about it. When you conceal your struggles, your fears, your insecurities, people might like you, but they don't really know you. And when the truth comes out, it always does. The betrayal isn't about your flaws, it's about your secrecy. Here's the nuance, people don't reject you because you're imperfect. They reject you when you pretend you're perfect, and then the mask cracks. And it happens all across society, everyone waiting for people to fall because they think there's something wrong there. But when you embrace that imperfection, it gives people no power to pull you down. And vulnerability doesn't push people away, it draws the right people closer. This week, share one thing you've been hiding with someone you trust. Not to impress them, not to manipulate them, but to let them see the real you. Rumi didn't regain her power until she trusted Mira with her truth. And when she did, their unity became unbreakable. Your connections work the same. Vulnerability is the glue, not perfection. Now, the Demon King tried to weaken HUNTR by creating Saja Boys, the demonic boy band who fed on stolen adoration. On the surface, looked but it was all empty, because applause without truth is hollow. So ask yourself, are you living for applause or are you living in truth? This is one of the hardest traps, because approval feels good. The likes, the praise, the attention, it hits like a drug. But like a drug, the high fades fast. And here's the cost. The more you chase approval, the more you lose integrity. You start making choices not because they're right, but because they'll be rewarded. That's why Saja Boys looked powerful but were hollow. But energy wasn't real. It was stolen, and it never lasts. Applause is only temporary. Integrity is permanent. So next time you're about to say yes, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this for applause or because it aligns with my truth? The Saja Boys collapsed because they lived on borrowed approval. Rumi endured because she sang her truth. In your life, applause may get you attention, but only integrity will give you peace. So at the end of K-pop Demon Hunters, Rumi stands on stage, demon marks visible for the first time, and she sings a new song. Not a polished performance, not a flawless act, raw, vulnerable truth. And that's what breaks the Demon Lord's spell. So what would your life look like if you stopped hiding completely and finally showed the world your whole self? We spend so much of life chasing perfection, fixing, erasing, editing, but perfection is a moving target, and every time you get close, the bar shifts again. That's why Rumi nearly lost everything, because she believed her demon side had to be erased before she could be worthy. But in the end, it wasn't erasure that saved her, it was acceptance. And it's something we do, we feel we have to hide all these negative parts or what we believe to be negative parts to be accepted when really we don't. And your power doesn't come from fixing yourself, it comes from embracing yourself. As society becomes so warped up in all the things we need to fix about ourselves that we're forgetting that a lot of it is who we are naturally. And we start to fight against it, and when we fight against it, that starts to cause some of the problems. We start to think that we're not allowed to be sad sometimes, we're not allowed to be angry, we're not allowed any of these emotions. We start to label good emotions and bad emotions rather than just accept them as emotions that we all have, that we all experience. And we start to hide so much of yourself, it's hard to work out what's real anymore. You become so disconnected and caught up in it that you feel you're living a life that's not yours. So here's your final challenge. Write down one area of your life where you've been chasing perfection. Then rewrite it with this. I don't need to be perfect, I need to be whole. Rumi's victory came not from becoming flawless, but from becoming whole. And the same is true for you. Perfection won't set you free, wholeness will. The truth is, you don't need to fight demons on stage to know what it feels like to hide. We've all been there. We've all been taught to mask our flaws, to silence our voice, to chase approval at the cost of being authentic. But as K-pop Demon Hunter shows us, hiding will never save you. It's only going to chain you tighter. Your real power isn't in perfection, it's in authenticity. And the world doesn't need your mask, it needs your truth. That's one of the reasons why I created the clan. It's my membership community where every week we do live hot seat coaching calls. You bring your struggles, your shame, your hidden battles, and together we break them down, we reframe them, and we help you step into the life that you're meant to live. So check the description below for the details. And remember this, your demons aren't here to destroy you, they're here to remind you that your true self has been waiting all along.